We all have dreams of becoming millionaires, but very few of us have a plan on how to get there. I hate to break it to you, but just working and saving, it's not enough. You have to do extra. Your money has to be put to work for you. You have to have a plan on how to build wealth over the course of your life. It's the only way. The good news is that in this YouTube video, I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm going to show you everything you need to learn about Roth IRAs. The simplest and best way to go from $0 to millionaire over the course of your career. In this video, I'm going to break down what Roth IRAs are and how they work. We're going to show you math and we're going to talk about the numbers and how it relates to you. I'm going to show you actionable steps you can take to build your own, and I'm going to walk you through the creation of an account and how to invest with it. This should be the only Roth IRA video you ever have to watch. So let's get started. So you finally started your own business. Invest for the long term, and I'll show you exactly how. Be good to future you. Roth IRA, what does it mean? Let's break down the actual word first. We have two parts, Roth and IRA. Roth simply means after taxes. It's a term coined by Senator William Roth, and what he did is he proposed a change to the IRA program, which allows investors like you and me to put money into it after we have paid taxes. That way, we can have the money tax-free. It was a game changer. Now let's talk about the other part of the word, IRA. IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account. The government created an IRA for people like you and me, workers, people who are earning money. It's a way for us to invest our own money into our own retirement without having to depend on an employer to set it up for us. It's really that simple. The government created an account for you to use to invest in your own retirement, and they call it a Roth IRA. It's a Roth IRA because you're investing in that account with money you've already paid taxes on. Because you've already paid taxes on the money, you don't have to pay taxes when you take the money out, and it is wonderful. Let's talk about a few more facts. In order to have a Roth IRA, you have to be earning income. You have to have money coming in. That's the only requirement of a Roth IRA. Second, you can only take the money out at age 59 and a half. Now, this doesn't mean your money's locked up forever. It just means that in order to start taking out all the money you've earned, you have to wait till 59 and a half. But that's okay. Trust me, we'll get into it in a little bit later. Okay, I'll explain how you can get your money out without paying taxes or penalties. Second, you can only put $6,000 a month into your Roth IRA. It is such a good account and it has so many benefits that the government will only allow you to put up to $6,000 a year in there. You can only have one Roth IRA per person. You can't have two. But if you're married, you and your spouse can each have a Roth IRA. Your kids can have Roth IRAs, but they have to be earning income. And if they're younger than the age of 18, it has to be a custodial Roth IRA. But we're not going to talk about custodial Roth IRAs in this video. We're simply going to talk about Roth IRAs in general so you can understand them better. There's no age to start a Roth IRA. You can start it early or late. It's never too late to start one. And you can't start taking the money out until age 59 and a half. The deadline to contribute for a Roth IRA is tax season. April 15th, the day that you have to file taxes, is the last day that you can contribute to your Roth IRA and have it count towards your contributions for the last year. We're going to talk about contributions and regular schedules soon. Don't worry, we just need to get the rules out of the way. So, when you put money into your Roth IRA, you're putting in money that you've already paid taxes on. When you put money into your Roth IRA, you can invest it into whatever you want. When you take the money out, there's no taxes, there's no fees, there's no penalties. And I don't know about you, but I never plan on making less money than I'm making now. Therefore, I'm never going into a lower tax bracket. So it's the perfect investment account for people who really want to grow and build their wealth over the course of their career. Now, let's get into some math so I can show you exactly why the Roth IRA is so freaking powerful. Let's start with some basic numbers and we're gonna work our way up from there so you can understand why I've been throwing around the word millionaire, okay? Roth IRA millionaire. That's the idea I want you to have in your head. Roth IRA equals millionaire. So let me show you how to do it. Let's take a look at our compound interest calculator. You can see here that we start with an initial deposit of $100. I would type in 0, but we can't. And let's say that you're just simply contributing $6,000 annually over the next 40 years. Let's say you start the Roth IRA when you're 20 years old. The difference between age 20 and age 60, when you can take the money out of the Roth IRA, is 40 years. So that's going to be our time frame. So if we were to just put in $6,000 a year for the next 40 years, we would be contributing a total of $240,000. And that's if we got no interest, no rate of return, no compounding interest, no investments. This is just cash. Okay, this is just cash. So we would actually have saved $240,000, which sounds great, but over the course of 40 years, $240,000 isn't shit. It's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to be worth a lot in 40 years. So how do we make this number better? How can we use the Roth IRA to turn ourselves into millionaires? It's very, very simple. It's by investing the money in your Roth IRA. So I'll give you an example. If we can get a 10% rate of return on our money, let me show you what we can do. But before I show you, let me explain. You can get a 10% rate of return simply by investing in the stock market. You don't have to pick individual stocks. You don't have to pick index funds or worry about bonds or anything else crazy like that. You can literally just buy one index fund that tracks all of the stocks in the entire stock market. It's reasonable to assume that you can get a 10% rate of return. That's what the stock market returns on average. Over the last 100 years or so, 8 to 10% is what it's returned. So if we use that as a basis of understanding, and we invested the money in your Roth IRA into the stock market, let's see what kind of returns we would get. Remember, this is $6,000 a year because that's the maximum you can put in a Roth IRA, and this is over 40 years, age 20 to age 60. Let's see what happens. 10%. Boom. Look at that. There's your $3 million. Over 40 years, if you were to invest $6,000 a year at a 10% rate of return, you will end up with over $2.9 million by the time you're 60. Now look at this graph. This is really interesting, and this is the reason why I picked this calculator. You can see in the blue here, that's your principal. That's how much money you had to put in. The green is all the money that you've made with that money. Think of all of these dollar bills that you're investing as a worker. The more workers that you can put to work for you in the stock market, the more money you can make. And in this case, Roth IRA workers, right? Pretty staggering if you ask me. $2.9 million. Wow. Now let's say, for example, that you're already 35. And so you only have another 25 years till age 60. So let's take the time span down to 25 and see what the rate of return is here. You're still earning over $500,000 in interest on only a $150,000 investment. That's mind-boggling returns for doing absolutely nothing, for simply putting your money into an account and letting it do its thing. But hold on, let's go one step further. Let's say you're 18. Right? Let's say you're 18 and you're going to go a whole 42 years, right? And over the course of these 42 years, you're not going to just buy a regular index fund and go with the simplest, easiest way to invest. You're going to learn a little bit more. You might invest in a target date fund. You might dabble with some stocks. You might dabble with some other investments. But let's say you can kick your investment rate of return up to 20%. Watch what happens to this number right here. It's a lot bigger, isn't it? It's a lot bigger. It's so big that you can't even see the amount of principal you invested to get to $76 million. You could literally have $76 million in your Roth IRA account simply by making good investments with it. This money is available to you 100% at the age of 60. No taxes, no fees, no interest, no penalties. It is so powerful. And the reason why it's so powerful is because it's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. Now I'm going to show you how to get one of these things set up. Let's get started. All right, here we are. This is the website we're going to be using for all of our investing. Now, you can use another service if you want. I'm not affiliated with Vanguard. I just really respect them as an institution. I don't make money off of referring people to Vanguard either, but they are one of the best. And I like them and I use them because I respect John C. Bogle, who invented the index fund. This is his company. Now, Fidelity, Schwab, TD Ameritrade, Betterment, all of these places are great places to start your Roth IRA. But remember, you can only have one Roth IRA per person. So choose the investment site that you want to use. Choose the one that you like the most. In this case, we're going to be using Vanguard because it's my favorite. So go to vanguard.com. You'll find it up here. Make sure that you're on the personal investors portion of the website and you're going to open up an account. If you already have a login for Vanguard, cool, you can skip that step. But start by creating an account and then we're going to create a Roth IRA. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to log in. First things first, we're going to go to the account types. After we've created a Vanguard account, we're going to go to the IRA section. IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account. We're going to start by going to open your IRA today. Simple button, very easy. If you don't have any assets already that you're moving over, you're going to want to open up a new account. Most people open up a new account. So that's what we're going to do. We are not going to be rolling it over from a 401k plan. You can do that, but you don't have to here. We're not going to be transferring investments from another financial firm. You can do that, but we're not going to be doing that here. What we're going to pick is electronic bank transfer because we're going to be transferring money from our bank into Vanguard into our Roth IRA. Hit continue. Here are the things that we're going to need. We're going to need the routing and the checking number of our bank account where the funds are going to come out of. And we're also going to need our employer's name and or W-2. The reason is because you have to be earning income in order to open up a Roth IRA. So let's go ahead and click continue. We're going to get to the next page where it's going to tell us to tell you about yourself. What are you and why are you investing this money? Most people choose retirement, but it doesn't really matter what you pick. Here's where it does matter. Selecting your account type. We can either choose Roth IRA or traditional IRA. Let me break down the differences really quick so you can understand. Roth IRA is an account that you put money into after you've paid taxes. Roth IRA is the best option in my opinion because we don't want to pay taxes when we take the money out at age 60 because there's a good chance we're going to be in a much higher tax bracket. I don't plan on making less money. Do you? Now, if you do plan on making less money and you want your IRA contributions to come out before you pay taxes, then you can choose traditional IRA. However, in this case, we're going Roth all the way, baby, and that's what you should be doing too. So click on Roth IRA and we're going to hit continue. We don't need to look at any other account types right now. Okay. So I already have Roth IRA accounts, so I can't add a new one, but the steps are very, very similar. Okay. Let's hit continue. We're going to the primary investment objective is going to be either growth or speculation. It doesn't really matter what you're picking. Right here, these objectives are for the staff at Vanguard. To open a Roth IRA, it doesn't matter what you pick, whether it's for growth, capital preservation, income, speculation, it doesn't matter. The source of the funds is going to come from salary or Social Security benefits, corporate income, sale of property, other, working capital. You can put whatever you want here. Okay, but the point is that you have to have money coming in to have a Roth IRA. Once you've made these selections, hit continue. Over here, we have the name and everything. I might blur out a little bit so you don't have my personal information, but you will get the gist of it. We want to verify that our name and all of our information is correct, and then we're going to hit continue. We need to put in a phone number here along with our mailing address. Super easy stuff. We'll go to the next one. Make sure the information's correct. And then we need to choose our employment status. This part's important because we have to be employed or self-employed. Like we have to have some sort of money coming in order to contribute. So if you are employed, put it there. If you do side hustles or you have your own business, put self-employed. If you're getting money just from retirement or Social Security, select that. It's okay. It's okay. You're going to type in your occupation. So for me, I'm going to put self-employed, nature of business, manufacturing, company address. We'll type that all in here. And then we're going to put our annual income. We'll select this, liquid net worth. We'll select this, and then We will hit continue. Now, there's a few questions here that you need to answer before you move forward. They want to ask because here's some questions you have to answer. Are you married to a Vanguard employee? They want to know because of insider trading. You can't be married to an employee at an institution and have an investment account there. They also want to make sure that you're not a FINRA member or part of a stock exchange, because then it could be a conflict of interest. Most people choose no for all of these questions, by the way. And then, are you a controlling interest in a publicly traded company? So do you own 10% or more of a company that's publicly traded? Answer should be no as well. You cannot do certain things if you have certain ties to the investment world. That's why these questions are asked. But most people will choose no. Let's hit continue. Oh, I have to fill out the rest of the stuff. Let me fill out my company address and everything. Fill out the highlighted fields. We'll hit continue. Here we are. We're establishing the funding. Now, you'll want to put in your bank account right here and link it up. This is the part where you do electronic bank transfer and you set up your bank account to send money to your Roth IRA on a monthly basis. This step is very important. You want to make sure you're linking up the correct account. You want to link up a checking account that you personally own. No exceptions. Link up your checking account so you can set up automatic withdrawals. That's the secret to getting rich. It's setting up a system that will help you invest on a regular basis. So put in your checking account information, make it happen. It's gonna be blurred out right here for me, so you can't see some of my personal info, but do it, get it done. Then we're gonna hit continue. Okay, now we've gotten to the place where you need to establish funding. You can enter your initial contribution for the IRA here. So, is this a rollover? Probably not, unless you have another retirement plan that you're rolling this into. We're gonna talk about that in another video though. That's not this video. We're not talking about rollovers. So I'm gonna assume the answer is no. How much do you want to contribute today? Remember, the maximum is $6,000 per year. So you can put in as much or as little as you want. I recommend starting with at least $500 so that you can buy stock and understand how it works, so that you can complete the entire process through this video with me. If you don't have $500, that's okay. Start with 50. You don't have $50, that's okay. Start with 20. The point is that you need to start. And so do yourself the favor, be good to your future self, and start now. Put as much as you can right here. No more than $6,000. Then hit continue. Okay, I can't actually go forward past this screen because I already have an IRA. I've already set this up and I've already maxed out the contributions. But here's what comes next. After you put in a contribution for today and you tell Vanguard how much money you want to contribute, you're good. The next step is simply signing the paperwork online. And that's really all it takes to open up a Roth IRA. You simply fill out the paperwork online after you've created a Vanguard account. You type all your information in, you sign the disclosures, and you're at the next step. But Evan, what comes next? I created the account, I'm still confused. What do I do? Don't worry, I got you. I'm gonna explain it right now. Now that you have your Roth IRA set up, here comes the important part. Actually putting money into it regularly. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Like, this is the hardest part for most people. So let me make it very simple. Set up an automatic contribution. Have it automatically come out of your checking account and go directly into your Roth IRA every single month. I understand that some people don't want to do that. The other option is to put all of the money in at the beginning of the year. All $6,000. Put it all in right after tax time. Fill up that Roth IRA contribution limit as quickly as you possibly can so you can start taking advantage of compounding interest as quickly as you possibly can. But I understand not everybody has $6,000 lying around that they can just put into their Roth IRA every year. That's when monthly recurring contributions come into play. On the Vanguard website, if you select your Roth IRA account and you click on contribute, and if you click on contribute, there are options for you to contribute regularly and monthly. I suggest that you contribute $500 a month because 500 times 12 is 6,000. That means you'll be breaking up that entire yearly contribution limit into manageable chunks each month. I promise you, once you have it set up on automatic contributions, you're not gonna feel the difference. Even if you only make $30, $40, $50,000 a year, you're not going to feel it. It's automatically going to come out, and it's going to be going into an account that will be growing over the next 40 years for you. It's worth it. It's the best way to be good to your future self, and it's the best way to make this investment strategy a reality. It is literally the most important part, is setting up regular contributions. We can't trust ourselves. Seriously, we can't trust these brains. We have to trust computers to automatically invest for us. Let's remove ourselves from the equation so we can continue working, we can continue growing our wealth, and we can continue doing what we do best. So set up automatic contributions. Now, one last thing on this note. If you can't afford $500 a month, or if you can't afford $600 a year, that's okay. You can start with less. You can invest $100 a month, $50 a month, even just $500 a year. The point is, get started. There's no time like the present, so get started. Seriously, in like 5 years when you see the balance, you're gonna be thanking me. Okay, let's go into the next video so I can show you what to do next, because it's not just simple as putting cash into your Roth IRA. All right, this is my favorite part. This is where I teach you how to buy index funds with your Roth IRA. Because remember, we can't just put cash into our Roth IRA. It doesn't work. We need to put those dollars to work. We have to buy investments. We have to buy assets inside our Roth IRA. Because remember, the Roth IRA is simply like in a brokerage account. It's just like a Robinhood. You put cash into it, and then you buy stuff with the account now that there's cash in it. Okay? You put cash into it, and then you buy investments with that cash. Just like a Robinhood account, just like a brokerage account. But instead of it being called a brokerage account, it's called a Roth IRA. It's really, really simple. But please, don't just put money into your Roth IRA without buying investments. It won't work. We need to get to that 10% rate of return so we can become millionaires. So let me give you 3 options from risky to conservative so that you can choose what you want to purchase with your Roth IRA. Let's take a look. Okay, this is the Vanguard website. You'll see that I have comparisons of 3 different assets. The first 2 are index funds or ETFs, and the last one is a target date retirement fund. So let's talk about these real quick so you can have a better understanding of how they work. An index fund is simply one stock that represents a bunch of stocks. So instead of having to try to find the needle in the haystack, you just buy the whole haystack. That's why I love index funds. Not only that, but they also pay dividends. So if you own some of VTI, for example, this one right here, every time earnings come through, they literally pay you for owning it. Because you own parts of these companies, you deserve the earnings. And so they pass those earnings on to you. And they get added into your monthly balance, which you can then use to buy more stock. It's compounding interest. It's wonderful. Okay, those are index funds. Index funds are also known as ETFs or exchange traded funds. They're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful investment vehicles, and this is where everybody should start. So let's talk about this. The first one that we have is an index fund called VOO. It represents the S&P 500 or Standard & Poor's top 500 companies. Standard & Poor's is just the people who decided they had some clout in the industry. Basically, they're the top 500 companies. So if you want to be risky and invest in only the top 500 companies in the United States, then choose VOO. That's the ticker symbol that you're going to type in to purchase. Just like you would type in GME for GameStop. Same thing for Tesla. If you were going to buy Tesla, you would type in TSLA, but instead you're going to type in VOO, which will give you part of Tesla, by the way, because they're in the S&P 500. Now, the S&P 500 is a riskier group of stocks because you're only investing in stocks, you're only investing in the top 500 companies. But if you look down here, they have a pretty good rate of return. Over the last year, they've returned 56%, which is uncommonly high. You cannot expect that overall. Over the last 3 years, they've returned 16%. And over the last 5, 16, and over the last 10, 13%. That's a pretty good rate of return, not gonna lie. Like that puts our 10% in our calculator to shame. So if you want to be risky, buy VOO. Now, if you want to go a little bit larger and you want to spread your investments out to not just the top 500 companies, but you want to buy a piece of every single company, then buy something like VTI. VTI stands for Vanguard Total Stock Market. And so instead of buying the top 500 like VOO, you would be purchasing a piece of every single stock. It's that simple. And it pays dividends. It's a wonderful, wonderful index fund. You can see down here that the returns, about 62% for the last year. Freaking crazy. Don't count on that, by the way. 17% for the last 3, 16% for the last 5, and oh my gosh, 13% for the last 10 years. It's just a really good rate of return on this index fund. Just know that your rates of return are going to vary. Past performance does not mean future performance, okay? It doesn't correlate. We have no idea what's going to happen in the future. These two are a little riskier because they involve only stocks, and only investing in stocks is kind of risky. Unless you're young like me and you have 40 years to ride it out, then you can handle it. Okay, but let's talk about one more option that the risk-averse people might want to know about. It's called VTTSX, and it is actually a target date retirement fund. It's not an index fund. This is a target date retirement fund. Okay? One thing to note is that the expense ratio is slightly higher than the index funds. So when you invest in index funds, you're only paying 0.03% in order to own that. But when you have a target date retirement fund, you have to pay 0.15% or 15 basis points. So it's a little slightly more expensive, but in the end, that 0.1%, it doesn't make too much of a difference. We just don't want an expense ratio above 1%. That's way too high. Okay, 1% is a big deal. So let's say that you're risk averse and you want to just buy one thing for the rest of your life, then that would be a target date retirement fund. If you're 20 years right now, 20 years old, and around 2060, you're going to be turning 60 years old, a target date retirement fund is perfect. It starts off with a lot of stocks, and then as you start to age, it starts tapering down into more conservative investments. It starts spreading your money out around bonds and commodities and gold and precious metals and other investments that are safer and have less growth, but that don't go down as often as stocks. So you have three options. The riskiest is VOO, the top 500 stocks. The middle of the road is VTI, or the Vanguard Total Stock Index, which is every single stock in the US. And then we have a target date retirement fund, right? A fund that is designed to be risky at first and then taper into a less risky investment as time goes on. They're all great options, but I suggest you pick one of these and start. Okay, so here's how you do it. Now that the money's in your Roth IRA, you have a way to buy investments. Now we need to choose the investments, and I've just outlined some of those for you. I've compared the top 3, in my opinion, for investors that are just starting out. Pick one of those investments and buy it with your Roth IRA. That's it. Make sure that the dividends get reinvested, and make sure that you're buying them regularly. Log into your account once a month and make a purchase of VTI and log out. That's it. Or log in one time, set it up so that it does recurring purchases for you, and you never have to log in again. You just let it roll, and you let it ride, and you let it ride, and you just let it grow until you turn 60 and you open up your account again and you see that there are millions and millions of dollars in there. Just to put things in perspective for you, if you have $3 million in your investment account, you can take 10% of that, 10% of it out each year, and you'll have $300,000 to live on. That's a lot of money. And in retirement, that's pretty freaking significant. So, to get to the figure that you need to retire, you have to invest. And the easiest way to invest is using the Roth IRA. Let's recap this for you. Congratulations, you got through it. The Roth IRA explainer video. Hopefully it makes a little bit more sense now. Hopefully you understand that this is the single best way to go from $0 to millionaire. It's the best way to invest your money. It's better than Robinhood. It's better than cryptocurrency. It's better than options or trades or anything else you could do. It is the best way to put your hard-earned money to work for you. And now you know how to do it. You simply open up a Roth IRA, you put some cash into it, and then you buy investments with that cash. And over the course of the next 20 to 40 years of your life, that cash is going to be doing work for you. Work while you're sleeping, work while you're working, work while you're hanging out with your kids, and that investment account will keep growing. By the time you're 60 years old, you're going to have millions of dollars in that account for you. Millions of dollars that you can slowly take money out of and live a comfortable, happy life for the rest of your years. This is a big deal. This is how you empower people and teach them how to not work until they die. This is how you empower people to understand how to put their money to work for them. This is the very beginning. This is as simple as it gets. If you can put, just a few more hours into understanding investments and what to buy and how to diversify your portfolio and how to do asset allocation and how to hedge your risks, you can do so much better. But this is the very beginning. And if you only did the bare minimum, do this, because this is what's going to make you a millionaire. Not day trading, not crypto trading, not stock trading. This simple, tried and true techniques for putting your hard-earned money to work for yourself. That's it. That's it. And hey, if you like learning from me and you like the way that I teach and you want to learn more, go to Vanguard.com. You can check out some of the other stuff that I do. I have a whole YouTube channel where I talk about all kinds of stuff related to business, finance, and cryptocurrency. Because if you're like me, you have a thirst. You have a thirst for knowledge. You want to grow. You want to earn. You want to be the best person that you can be. And that's what I talk about on my channels. That's what I talk about with my social media, is the best ways to be good to your future self, whether it's in business, investing, or crypto. So check out Vanguard.com if you want to learn more. Keep educating and be good to future you. You did it. I'm proud of you. And this is the video that's going to unlock your millionaire future. Enjoy.